The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Wrestling to the Max, Monday Night Raw, Review.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max's Raw Review for February 20th, 2017. And here we are. We are ready to talk some Raw. But before we do, I want to let you guys know who and where we are coming from. W2Mnet.com is the place where you can go find all our shows, all our great review shows like SmackDown Live, Raw. Also, go check out the NXT and 205 live shows we do on review as well. Plus, don't forget, if you go and check us out on iTunes, Stitcher, whatever place you go and listen to podcasts through, make sure you go subscribe either to Wrestling to the Max or W2Mnet.com. Both are great. Maybe you don't want a lot of other podcasts in your feed. Just go subscribe to us personally. If not, W2Mnet.com. The W2M Network has lots of great content. Trust me, other wrestling shows besides ours, and also some other great podcasts like soccer and some football and some other great stuff that trust me, it's worth your time. But anyway, we are now ready to talk some Monday Night Raw. So let's go ahead and do that now, guys.
All right. Now that I can unmute myself. But sorry, you're gonna have to give me a little bit to get to where we need to be here. So we started off with Mr. Of course, with various. Since we've had 2 wrestling deaths in the time since we've had a show, they started off with an in memory of George the Animal Steele, and then they get into, of course, the big deal from last week, which is the Festival of Friendship and Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho. So Kevin Owens is in the ring and pretty much sort of explains what his whole, I guess, motivation for this. He talks about his walking out of Fast Lane as a champion. You know, he says the fans, are dumb for chanting Goldberg. He calls Goldberg's win against Brock Lesnar pretty lucky. And that, even though nobody thinks he can retain his title, he's going to do it at Fastlane. He's just going to beat Goldberg. And, yeah, he's going to show everybody that superheroes exist, even. Don't you want Kevin Owens to be your superhero?
Isn't he? I mean, come on, everybody loves Kevin Owens. But what's kind of funny too is he addresses Jericho. He says, for Jericho, he just drops the mic. So enough said about Jericho. I guess we'll find out more later and down the line about him. But I think it's a good thing that they did focus on Goldberg here. Doesn't really give you any payoff in the future for the Jericho thing anyway. So, I mean, this only makes sense. And this whole, diatribe, everything he goes through here in this promo, it works. It gets the point across. I like the setting, the fact that there literally is a spotlight on him. Of course, the way he starts it out and everything. So, I think this was fine. I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I think he kind of had to do this. We wanted to get addressed right away. That's what they did. They got this addressed. And then, we, of course, move on and see what else they got going. And so I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think you get a lot of good work from Kevin here. And, this promo is great. He's building up with the Goldberg match, and I think really feeding off what everybody is assuming, that he's just going to get ran right the hell over by Goldberg. And as far as I'm still sitting here, I still think he's gonna. But it's really nice to see him build up all the work he's doing in one segment.
Yeah, certainly. It makes him look better than he has in many, many weeks, other than when he, did the turn on Jericho. So maybe, perhaps, somebody finally figured it out with Kevin Owens. Who knows? Or maybe they figured out they needed a heel for Goldberg. One of the two. So, of course, this leads into him thinking that he is gone for the night. But Mick Foley tells Kevin Owens, well, I'm sorry, but you cannot leave because you have a match with Sami Zayn. And Kevin Owens goes, well, I thought you liked Sami Zayn. Because now you're going to have more guys on the injured list than the active list. So Kevin Owens already threatening his supposed used-to-be dear friend again. So, Kevin Owens just doesn't like having friends, I guess. That's the whole point with Kevin Owens. And he even gets into a thing later where Sami Zayn is telling everybody, hey, I told you, Kevin Owens, you shouldn't trust him. And that he even compares Kevin Owens to Samoa Joe, even saying that they're pretty much the same because, Joe, just hit him from behind last week. Says that, you know what, you're going to underestimate me because you're worried about Goldberg. But you need to be worried about me tonight here. Sami Zayn, of course, tries to come into the ring, and then Samoa Joe, once again, doing his, heel tactics, beating up from behind. And Owens is just sitting there like, all right, I'm going to take this opportunity to just beat up on a totally beaten down Sami Zayn. And, of course, he does that because why not, right? This is what heels are supposed to do. And, hey, you know what? Kevin Owens has looked like a monster way better than he has in the last whatever, as I already mentioned. There you go. There's your Kevin Owens arc for the week.
Yeah, and we kind of walk away from this thinking, no matter what, Kevin Owens is getting aided. And of course, that promo at the beginning left you with a feeling that, he, is on his own. But then you start to think back, of course, last week and everything that's kind of transpired, that really he's still not on his own. He's still, having someone else kind of aid him, and that is Samoa Joe. Yes, he's not like buddy with Samoa Joe. We're not getting a really opportunity to see those two guys interact, but what we are seeing is the fact that he's just getting to pick the bones of Sami Zayn after Samoa Joe does all the dirty work here and just beats him down. So, he does look, aggressive, here, and he, of course, does power bomb, pop-up power bomb Sami Zayn and gets the 1, 2, 3, but still, it's not that image of Kevin Owens that I do want to eventually see. I think this is fine for now. Eventually, I do want to see Kevin Owens on his own without anybody else and see him do these same things. But for now, it's okay, and it only makes sense for storyline. That Paul mentioned last week about the new corporation kind of gimmick, kind of looks like they're kind of going with here, and I'm okay with it. This makes sense for that. But otherwise, and eventually in the future, I do want Kevin Owens to do this, by himself.
I'm sure he will at some point, but they've waited absolutely for fucking ever to pay this off with Triple H, and if this is what they were waiting for, then maybe this will work out for the best. But I'm still struggling to care about the Owens Triple H relationship just because they let it sit so long. I am, however, interested just to see how this all plays out. The fact that these three guys seem to be all linked is sort of secondary for me. Just seeing them work together and what they're going to do as opposed to them just sort of playing off whatever they've built up already isn't working so much for me. But I think this was a solid segment to continue the build forward. And that's what you're at. Especially if you're going to have Sami Zayn as the plucky underdog babyface to set up the rest of the year. I think you might really have something on your hands there.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I look at this and think to myself, I'm not super just thrilled with what's going on. It's fine. It's good. And it is that build. But, I think it's just that. It's a build. So I can analyze it to where I'm saying, oh, this is what this is going to be like the entire time. No, they're setting a foundation. And I think this foundation so far is good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think that right now, they could easily set up some kind of tag match for Fast Lane if they want to, or whatever they want to do here. But, or who knows, maybe they'll do some kind of 2-on-1. Or what, I'm never mind, I don't know what I'm talking about right now. I've got, like, too many things going on. Kids just decides to come in at, like, midnight and she's got school the next day. What the hell? Anyway, you go over to your friend's house and then grandma's irresponsible. I don't get this. Anyway, so, moving on from the Kevin Owens thing, they did announce that we would have the Braun Strowman and Big Show match, and what do you know, this is your main event for the evening, Braun Strowman and Big Show, and this was actually good. This wasn't, it's two big guys just going out there and boring you. This was actually good. Obviously Roman Reigns is going to show up, and he comes in, and Superman, he's going to Superman punch Braun, but Braun hits a drop kick and then hits a power slam so that Braun can just have the great moment where he stands tall to end the show. I mean, I like this. We didn't have Roman ending the show here. We had Braun looking strong and being Braun. So I'm good with that. And, of course, also just to kind of kill the whatever Roman Reigns did on the show, he gets told that he can have a tag match to kind of go off what happened last week with Anderson and Gallows, because he can't have anything to do with Strowman as far as match-wise until Fastlane. Well, Roman Reigns says, you know what? I don't need a tag partner. You know why? Because you already showed that you can beat Anderson and Gallows without a tag partner. Stupid WWE. So, hey, let's do it again, right? Let's have some guys win tag team titles so they can look dumb the whole time. This really just serves some great purpose of helping your tag team champions along here. And I don't know if this really makes Roman look good either, because you're attacking a guy after he has a match, too. WWE, once again, our face just like a total dick.
Yeah, and I'll save the main event talk. I'm just going to focus on this for just a second here and say, once again, thanks a lot, WWE. You're proving me that the tag titles don't mean anything, because the tag titles are on two guys that you don't care what they look like. And that's what you proved to me. And Roman Reigns took care of him. And yeah, he did use a chair and everything, but he still, beat him down. And they had their opportunities to look okay. You just don't have any respect walking away for Gallows and Anderson. So good job there. If that's your goal, to make him look as dumb as possible, and even Roman's not coming out of this smelling like roses, good job.
I think last week you could maybe give him the benefit of the doubt, but going back to the well again is just damn near inexcusable. And this, I understand that maybe Gallows and Anderson aren't way up on the totem pole of guys you want to look good and whatever else, but my God, this is just nail in the coffin almost. Like, I don't know why these guys should be scary. I don't know why they should even be champions, really, at this point, if they can't beat one dude. And granted, yeah, it's Roman Reigns, but come on.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're talking about your tag team champions here, Sean. I mean, the guys you apparently know other tag
Raw
teams.
Obviously doesn't care about their tag team champions unless they're on the New Day. So
Exactly right, and that's a problem. To me, we always talk about titles, right? We always talk about how they should be important. Obviously, they're not. They're just pieces of metal on the shoulders of these guys.
And what's stupid, too, is they went through the effort of crowning a number one contender for your tag titles, with Enzo and Cass beating Cesaro and Sheamus, which even led to Sheamus giving Enzo a bro kick after the match, and the fans were chanting, "Thank you, Sheamus." Man, some of these crowds lately, they just want to be total contrarian, but why go through the trouble of crowning a number one contender if you don't care? You're telling us not to care about who the champion is. Shouldn't we care about who the champion is and want to see them get beat? If Roman Reigns is beating him 1-on-2, Enzo and Enzo should be able to beat Gallows and Anderson by himself at this point, right? Or just Cass. Enzo doesn't even have to be in the match. Cass can just beat him by himself.
Yeah, basically. It's just, ugh. Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't give me any faith at all right now. And I think for that tag title scene and everything, it's so nonchalant the way they're going about it that I think the fans are nonchalant about it. They just don't care. Or whatever you want to do, they're just, okay, that's a tag title match. Let's get to the main event. Or let's get to this other match we really care about. And I just think that's a depressing thing because, the New Day did a good job with it, but the New Day did it through a different way of joking, having fun, using the titles. They necessarily, didn't have the 5-star matches that, would come with all the praise that they were getting. It was more about the entertainment part of it. But still, they matter, right? Those titles matter because they were the longest reigning tag champions now of all time for WB. So, it bums me out about Gallows and Anderson. It just really, really does. I think this is the stupidest thing I've seen. And, at least for Enzo and Kaz, they're going to get their shot, right? I mean, that's the good thing. They're going to get their opportunity. But I don't know. I'm so non-caring right now about this tag division.
And I still think they took away from Enzo and Cass at the end by having Enzo continue to do the heel stick he's been doing recently. So not only are you taking away the threateningness of your heel tag team champions, but now your faces are confused because they're not really faces anymore. And maybe people are just going to cheer them because, it's Enzo and Cass at this point. But Jesus, give us something here. Like, there's no steam into this at all, I feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously they weren't wanting to chant for them too much because they loved the fact that Sheamus gave Enzo a brogue kick. So, and then to top it off with the tag team stuff, New Day, they do make an appearance on this show because we get a video, even though we knew this before the show going in, that they are going to be the hosts of WrestleMania 33 in Orlando. Not to mention that, but they continue saying that, they interrupt Lana's little promo here to, where Lana's going to introduce Jinder and Rusev for Xavier Woods to talk about his YouTube channel, Up, Up, Down, Down, and to be able to say that they're hosting an award show at South by Southwest, and that they want to do voice work for the new Lion King. Could you imagine Big E? Yeah, I mean, he could. Could we have Timon, Pumbaa, and I don't know what Xavier Woods is going to do. Could he be?
They just need to be owls. That's it.
Owls.
Well, they said they were auditioning for the Hyenas. So I personally would love to see them as the Hyenas. I think they'd be hilarious as the Laughing Hyenas. Personally. But.
And they even have their ice cream in digital format. But Lana has hacked it because, she's Russian. So.
Good social tie-in there, right?
Stupid.
Well, no, I mean... It's stupid, but it makes sense to...
you know what, WWE? If you watch Total Divas, guess who doesn't have her accent on Total Divas?
Guess who? This time they don't care.
Guess who? No. All I'm saying is when they want to, they do the Total Divas crap, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I just think this is so dumb. Like,
It's more of a SmackDown thing where it's really kind of, translucent between Total Divas.
And I just think that's like, I get her, you're still doing the accent and all that, whatever, but it's just like, you guys have played around with the whole not really caring so much that they're Russian sometimes or whatever. It's just, what a stupid way to put a dumb joke in there. Just dumb. I'm sorry.
I didn't bother me. I mean, it goes with social commentary. That's all you hear now. I mean, you have the whole Russian thing. The Russians are in... It feels like the 80s all over again. It really does. I mean, it feels like the Russians are next door to me, and I don't know it. It's the way that things go. But I don't know. I get it. Yeah, it is stupid.
Well,
but
God forbid you have like a bad Trump joke or something instead. But,
I know, right? I mean, that's where everybody goes, But that's done. I mean,
well,
I
Vince
mean,
isn't going to
that's
do that.
all.
Trump's lining his pockets, so it's
Well, he's a WWE Hall of Famer, for God's sakes. I was joking with someone the other day. I said, instead of, making a big deal about being president, they should go, WWE Hall of Famer, and President, Donald Trump. So, kind of throw that in there like a little bit. Oh, I'm president, whatever. Hall of Famer for WWE. I think it'd be awesome. But anyway, enough political stuff. I think that, what we get here, you get the normal stuff with, of course, Jinder Mahal and, Rusev between the New Day. So that's nothing super special. I know to me, it's filler. I don't know about you guys, but that's just filler.
You're
it's
talking
just
about
a way
Jinder
to
Mahal. He's the meaning of filler.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just there to set the jokes up, like Xavier Woods, I think it was, who tore the iPad apart, Lana's iPad. So I mean, there you go. I mean, that was to set that up, stuff like that. So this is not special. It is nice to get these information, from the guys at New Day of what they're going to be doing in the future, and they're going to be hosting WrestleMania. That's cool. I think they're really good to do it. I mean, I don't think there's many other people I would rather see do it. New Day's just fun, so that's what they do good at.
They have yet to prove that these WrestleMania hosts are nothing but a waste of time at this point. And that's the New Day. That's pretty much what they're doing. They're wasting their time. They stick them with busy work every week. They have them come out and make the jokes, and that's really it. There's nothing really big happening here. And, maybe that's just because they don't know what to do with them without the tag titles. And it's not like they're doing a good job with who they got them on anyway. So I'm not looking forward to another host at WrestleMania. I'll tell you that much. I mean, it's a New Day, so I'm sure you'll get some fun segments. But unless something big is coming out of this for them, I don't know if I have much of a reason to care.
Sadly, that's sad.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, a lot of people are now saying, oh, New Day need to go, or, they need to break up, or they need to do something else, and kind of funny that, we've gotten to that point. I think you're doing what you can do with them at this point, right? They've done everything they can do, so why not kind of ride it out until WrestleMania and see if you get anything out of that, and if you have any plans for them after that, then maybe it might be time. But I don't blame them for it. Gives them something to do. It's a waste of time, but it gives them something to do.
Well, I look at this. This is better than having Maria Menounos or Justin Timberlake or just some random person coming out and hosting.
Well, last year you had The Rock, and he showed up for what, like
what? Well, I mean, he's been like 10, 15 minutes out there, but that's. I don't know.
I mean, he hosted 31, and it was the biggest waste of time ever. I mean,
but you're not getting out of things. Well, you're getting rock bottom sometimes, things like that. But you're right; it doesn't really mean anything. I'm not looking for the New Day to, be gangbusters and just make us so happy that they're in host. I'm just saying they will be halfway entertaining. That's all I need.
At least they're giving the time to a current act. I guess that is something to take away from this. It's not The Rock or some Hollywood star or whatever. It's a current act that they know can handle this well. So I guess there is that going forward.
True. Very true. I do want to kind of go back, though, because we didn't talk about this. And that was my fault, but we kind of got away from talking about the main event. And it's not that we don't appreciate that. I definitely appreciate it. I wanted to give it some good time because of the fact that, to me, the first thing we were talking about was a real bummer, but this is a real excitement for me because I feel like Braun Strowman looked really good coming out of this main event. He was a monster, and he proved it right here. And, I know Sean and Paul and I all have kind of talked about this whole thing. What's going to happen when you get Braun Strowman, this new young monster, in with the old monster, Big Show, the guy that has just, been dominant. He's big and bad. Now he has this new look. He's slimmer. All that, what's going to happen when these two clash? Well, we got a pretty awesome match. I mean, from what they can give us, right? And Braun Strowman actually got out there and showed us some moves we've never seen him do, at least on television. If you go to live events, you may have seen some of these. I think it's kind of cool that you got an opportunity to see that he is diverse. He's an athletic guy. And these two guys didn't come out of this match looking like one was better than the other. yes, Braun Strowman won. He won clean, but it took a lot. And it also took him getting chokeslammed. It took him getting a KO, all that stuff for him to get an opportunity to win this match. So I don't think that I feel like Big Show lost anything here. I kind of feel like he came out of this not looking as bad as I feared. I really did fear Big Show losing or Braun Strowman losing out of the two could really hurt them. I don't think that happened here. I think it was okay. And of course, I get Roman Reigns looking good and all that stuff. That was fine at the end here, but Braun Strowman still got the upper hand. For me personally, Roman Reigns, if he does win against Braun Strowman, he needs to be at the pay-per-view. And if that's the route they're going, I'll handle that, just not on Raw. So they're doing a good job.
The match is good, right? And I mean, you're right. Braun is way more athletic, I think, than we give him. Like he freaking tips up in this, which is ungodly for a man his size and weight and everything. And so, I mean, certainly props to him for that. But I felt like this was some much needed damage control because I didn't feel like the last couple of weeks he had looked the greatest in light of Roman, and here he finally gets the one up, right? And I think it's way more important to make sure Braun looks like the powerful monster he is going into the match, so that way you actually question whether Reigns can beat him or not. And I feel like they got back on that track this week with the segments they did for these guys.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's something that we needed to see happen. So, and Sean, what did you think about this whole thing?
Well, I mean, I talked about it earlier, but this was good, and it's exactly what Braun needed. So it's where they go from here, obviously.
Yeah. To me personally, like I said before, I feel like they had to get on a good track here for Braun because he is so young and he's going to grow. He's going to get better and better and better. But he is going to take that loss, and it could be sooner than later. But at least for now, they're doing it the right way. So I'm happy.
Yeah. So we move on to talking about other things on the show. Let's focus in on what the cruiserweights did on this show. So you had Brian Kendrick and Akira Tozawa going off their little thing that's developing between Vaughan and 205 Live. Of course, last week he had Tozawa kind of show him up backstage at 205 Live and tell him, no, I don't want to be your protege and I don't like you. To Brian Kendrick now being pissed because Tozawa did not accept him, and he just beats him up before their match. So there's no match here, and Tozawa's just laying out on Raw. I thought it's a good continuation of the story here without, somebody having to lose.
Yeah, I mean, and Brian Kendrick, needed a little bit of this, I think, because of the fact that Tozawa has really had a chance on every episode of the Raw that he's been on, which is like 2, I think, just to shine, to excite people, to make it. And so with Brian Kendrick doing this, that crowd heat, it just really comes down on him. And now he looks like he's a force to be reckoned with to an extent. And now when they actually do get a chance to get in the ring and have a fair match, it's going to be exciting because now you understand that, hey, Brian Kendrick's not just a old loser. Now you understand he is dangerous. So I kind of appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think this continues to feed into the idea of what these cruiserweight segments on Raw are supposed to do, which is lead you into 205 Live. And the next one we're going to talk about, I think, does a great job of not only that, but building up the main match they have going. But this has certainly turned into an interesting piece of business, especially with Tajiri back in, and maybe questioning how much he's going to get involved here with Kendrick, because it doesn't seem like, as of last week on 205, that they were ready to sell that boat down the river yet. So we're going to see what happens, obviously, tomorrow, but I'm kind of looking forward to this.
Yeah, I've been liking this thing with Tajiri and Tozawa and Kendrick. I think it's a great spot for Kendrick to just kind of be in there, bring in the new guys, do stuff with them. Kind of like a better Dolph Ziggler role right now. So moving on to what Paul alluded to just a second ago here, they had a contract signing for the, my God, Raw, WWE and their contract signings, let me tell you. So Neville and Gallagher have a promo here, basically a promo off as Austin Aries is hosting, and we have tea and biscuits because guess what, guys? They're both British, right? But they actually have a great way of bringing in the tea and biscuits, so I'm fine with it. If it would have just been a prop, I think it would have been stupid. But Gallagher, of course, is great at using props, and he brings us in for this. Neville sort of is pissed at this whole thing even happening, at the fact that we even have Gallagher in his presence, because Gallagher represents what they wanted Neville to be, and he's just that American stereotype of British people. And Neville is exactly what British people are. A little bit ugly and rough around the edges. I wonder if, Neville actually pitched to say that, or Vince just said, hey, let's just say something that I also think about British people. And pretty much, people are laughing at Gallagher and not laughing at him. And he's going to whoop some Gallagher at Fast Lane, even though he doesn't think that Gallagher exists, even. Gallagher's pretty much going to want to beat him, and he says, look, I don't want you to leave yet. I want to have some tea and biscuits. And Neville wants none of that, so he throws the table down, they brawl, and Gallagher hits him with a headbutt, and then uses William III so that Neville can't get near him. So, great stuff here by Gallagher, of course, getting to show you what he does, and I think Neville, again, just being a jerk and making you want to hate him.
Yeah, this is fun. It really is, and I just love the way they had everything set up to the contract signing. And it's the same stuff you always get at contract signing, so it's nothing new, nothing extraordinary. But Jack Gallagher is hilarious. He's funny, and what he's not trying to be almost, but then again he is. And I just really enjoyed it. I think that this is something that we can take away from, because of the fact that we get a little bit of that whole thought process that you haven't really heard. And I think that's great that Neville has shared that, was the fact that really it's a stereotype. That's what Jack Gallagher is. He's a stereotype. He's that guy that a lot of the people in the UK are, they just take a little bit of a hatred from, of that Mary Poppins. I always hear of people that from the UK hate Mary Poppins because that's what started the stereotype in America about what they are. And they're, sure, they have people that are like that, but most of them are not, biscuits and tea kind of people. So I think it's kind of hilarious to have this whole thing, and that's exactly what Jack Gallagher does, and Neville addresses it. So I kind of like that. I like that kind of realism brought into this. It was just a good time. Nothing super great, but it was fun.
I think this is where your contract signings sort of help, is when you have lesser known characters who don't always get a lot of time to build their characters. And granted, they have two of their stronger built guys in this, so maybe it's a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Not as appropriate, I will say that. But certainly I think this worked out well for both guys. Neville continues to crush this gimmick. I think Gallagher's really great in his spot right now. And then I think Austin playing sort of picking away at Neville from behind with these little shaded barbs is another nice touch that leads to their rumored match. So there's a lot of good stuff swirling around this, and I'm kind of excited for the Neville Gallagher match. It's a real mismatch that I think might surprise a lot of people with how good it ends up being.
Yeah, and you got to also appreciate the fact that Gallagher actually gets the upper hand here.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually the guy that's standing tall, which I kind of honestly felt like Neville was going to be, so I appreciated that as well.
Yeah. So we go on now to what the women did on this show. Nia Jax woofed up on Sarah Pierce for about 22 seconds, squashed her, and then she says she wants a shot at the title, and says that Bayley and Sasha are little girls. Short and sweet from Nia, and pretty much the match that we all knew has been coming for almost a couple of months now. This Fatal 4-Way looks like it's taking shape. And then we get Bayley, Stephanie McMahon, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte all in this big promo segment where basically Stephanie McMahon is trying to get Bayley to understand that you are someone, and even my daughters look up to you, that stands up for the truth and for being honest and, you know, the American way. I'm joking. And everything else that, you know, is great about being a face, basically, without saying it. And so, you know, she tries various ways of getting Bayley to look, you know, Sasha doesn't want you to give up the title because she thinks she can beat you, but she can't beat Charlotte, even though Sasha's beaten Charlotte a few times, so that doesn't make any sense. And, you know, basically that, you know, Bayley, it's not a real win. Your win is now tarnished. This is a big moment for you. It decides who you are now, if you want to give up the belt or not. And basically Bayley says, no, I'm not giving up this belt because I've beaten Charlotte 3 times and it's not because of Sasha or whatever. You know, the WWE Universe helped me. And basically Charlotte just comes out to say that Fast Lane rematch is happening and that, you know, she's going to beat Bayley there. Sasha wants a match with Charlotte, and Charlotte says, well, I'll put you in a wheelchair then. And then we have this match, which up to this point might have been the best match on the show. And, yeah, I mean, it's more Charlotte and Sasha stuff, so can't really argue there. As Bayley comes in also because Dana Brooke shows back up. She didn't show up in the talking segment, but she shows up in this match. Bayley comes in, and then you get a little distraction with Banks hitting the backstabber and the Banks statement, and she wins. So Sasha has a win on Charlotte now. And what do you guys think of this? All this stuff with the women here for Raw this evening?
This sets up for what we were all talking about, right? The Fatal 4-Way for the women's title on Raw, and they're getting there. They're just you know, taking their time, which they need to get to that point. Nia Jax, that whole thing made sense. Just move on. This other thing, though, I'm going to say this, and I'm probably wrong on this, but then again, I feel like I'm not. The Stephanie McMahon involvement, to me, is a little out of place for me. And I get the purpose of, well, you know, you didn't win, and so many people look up to you. I get all that. It still feels out of place for me. She doesn't stick her nose in when Charlotte's up there with the championship when Dana Brooke got involved. She's not in there doing it when anything else happens. Oh, but it's Bayley, so I'm going to stick my nose in it. I think that's a little bit weird. It kind of came off awkward.
Well, I think the whole point is that Charlotte came to Stephanie and demanded her title back. So Stephanie is playing the role of, well, I am the authority figure. You know, let's try to do this where Bayley gives the title back out of her own volition so that I don't have to be the bad person here.
But she is the bad person here. She's kind of making it known that she's the bad person here.
Right,
she's
but not when whenever they don't want Stephanie the bad person, they won't do it.
Yeah, exactly. But I know that, but still, I just don't feel like Stephanie needs to be involved at all. I did not like that. For me personally, I mean, even if it makes sense to other people, to me it doesn't. I just wanted to see more of this. I would have rather spend all that time that Stephanie talked, which felt like 10 years. I wish that would have been filled with someone who I needed to hear from. That's probably Charlotte, and I needed to hear more from her.
We hear from Charlotte all the time,
and she gets fine. Hey, give me more. I think you get a better rating from me if you give me more of her. I don't need to hear Stephanie.
I'd rather not hear her robot voice all the time.
Stephanie does nothing for me. Nothing at all. It's just a filler. It's kind of like, hey, here I am. I need to be on TV. I think this week she realized I haven't been on TV that much. Oh my God, I got to get my.
But Charlotte's not going to convince you to make her give her the title back, though.
And neither is Stephanie.
I disagree. I think the reason why Stephanie is there is because it doesn't make sense for Charlotte to go beg Bayley to get her title back. She's not going to give it to her. So you have to have somebody. The whole point is Charlotte is complaining that she deserves her title because Bayley didn't win it the right way.
She has every right to. She has every right
but
to. So I need to hear from her.
Is not. The whole point is to try to get people to see the other side. If Charlotte comes out there and does it, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to have the same process as if somebody else does it.
Okay, well,
it also makes Charlotte look whiny. Because that's what he was supposed to do.
That's what she is. That's exactly what she's supposed to do. Stephanie, let me tell you this. Stephanie, in this episode, the way she's acting, her interaction with Mick Foley, basically by telling him, hey, you're not going by the dark way. You're going by the light way. So you're, not a good fit. Like, I would hate for you to get hurt, Mick Foley. She tells him to watch out for the wire. Kind of like saying, Triple H is going to murder you if you keep talking that way to me. Do the wrong things, Mick Foley. And then she comes out here.
That's what she always does, though. She always
says. So you're not giving me anything different. Now you have Mick Foley come in and do this thing where you're talking about exactly what you're talking about. You have Mick Foley come in there and say, look, you really should put this title up and just make it, vacant because of what happened. Then now you're getting my attention. Now you're making me feel that way. Now I kind of ease into this thought process of, man, maybe Bayley is wrong for holding on to this title. That's what they were wanting to do, except Stephanie decided she needed to be on TV. And she, of course, she's the reason people watch the women's division. Stephanie McMahon is. At least I think that's what she feels sometimes.
Well, but as you heard from the crowd not wanting Bayley to give it the title, Foley coming out there is not going to help you either because it's going to send the wrong message.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's supposed to be there to help the faces. He's not really helping the faces at that point if he's trying to get Bayley to give up her title that she spent the first 5 minutes of that promo saying how much of a great thing it was and she called her dad and all this other stuff. I mean,
I'm just saying the crowd reaction is a little bit biased here because the crowd was weird, and it's an LA crowd. And they can either be really hot or just weird. And that's kind of what they were here. I don't know if you do this in West Michigan or you do this in, El Paso, Texas.
They may not care in El Paso, Texas.
Exactly. Well, exactly. So you may not get that reaction. You may get a quiet audience with the same thing. I kind of feel like that the whole point of this needs to be about the four women.
Well, and they were in Bayley's hometown too.
Yeah, and I get that, but I'm sorry, and I understand. You make some decent points here, Sean, and my points are just right there with yours. We just may disagree on this, but I just look at this as I want the focus to be on those women. I really don't need Stephanie out there so long. Now, I will say this: if she would have came out there, if the verbiage would have been shorter, and we had more of the women talking between the competitors talking, I think I'm game. I think I feel better about it. I felt like it took way too long to get to the point that they were trying to do with Stephanie.
I tend to lean towards your way of thinking on this, Gary. And while I think Stephanie's only here because they know that she will get heat. They know that. And at one point that has to stop being a good enough reason because these other girls really need to take the division on their shoulders, and they got to give them that opportunity. And I'm going to bring up Seth Rollins as somebody who they gave the ball to, and we sat through some absolutely terrible promos from him, but he got so much better. I feel like they're taking that opportunity away from Charlotte by not letting her do that. And even then, it doesn't even have to be about her begging for the title back. It has to be about her trying to play mind games with Bayley going into their match at Fast Lane saying, look, the only reason you beat me is because Sasha interfered, and you really need to play up Bayley having this big crisis about how she won it. She didn't win it like she did the NXT Women's Championship.
So were you just going to forget that Dana didn't show up either? I mean,
see, but they need to bring that up. The faces didn't bring that up at all in this segment. Dana was left completely out of the conversation.
And then she shows up in the very next segment.
Exactly. There's a lot of messed up booking in this because they miss. I don't want to say messed up booking. They missed an opportunity to really heat up not only the match at Fastlane, but to start building up what they're going to do at WrestleMania. Because if Charlotte I'm pretty sure Charlotte's going to win the championship from Bayley back at the pay-per-view to keep up that streak. And then suddenly Sasha beating her here on Raw means that Sasha's owed a title shot, Bayley has the rematch clause, and Nia has beaten Sasha. So you have all of those wins working towards the match. But you could have had so much more heat going towards it based on having Charlotte attack the way that Bayley wanted and not begging. Just saying, look, you might have beaten me and you have all these other things going on, but you only beat me because of this. And then the faces fire back, and then you have even ground, and you have all this heat. This way, everything I feel like Gary is coming from is that people are only hating on Stephanie for trying to be the devil's advocate for Charlotte to get her to drop the belt.
I would have just preferred, if they're going to do this, then let Charlotte have the title back this way. I don't think Bayley needs to get beat at Fastlane. It's stupid. This like, let's throw the title around like it's a hot potato crap. It's stupid. If you're going to have Bayley, they could have just had Charlotte get the title back because she didn't win it the right way or whatever. And then that way, you feel more sympathy for Bayley that way. Instead of, oh, well, Bayley just got beat again. So, whenever Bayley wins at WrestleMania, I'm sure it won't really matter because you're going to have that crowd that's going to cheer for whatever. But, I don't know. It just, to me, you're talking about heat, right? You need to have some kind of emotion there.
Right.
To draw you into that match instead of Charlotte just, oh, well, Charlotte beat her.
I think we see WWE stagger on these so many times that and maybe they're counting on us to forget or whatever at some point, but there's a better way to structure this. And I think this ties back into our chief complaint that we usually harp on about the women's division on Raw is that they're using the championship to build the girls and not strong booking the other way around to lead up to them winning the championship. Because so far, the trickle down between Sasha and Nia and Charlotte and Bayley, I don't think has done anything for the other two girls. And I felt like this was the only... WWE must have felt like this was the only way to get Bayley into the conversation was to give her a title run, even if it's only brief. And building on that, I think moving forward, what they're really counting on, right, is the WrestleMania crowd to carry it through towards whatever they're going to do. But they could also go the route of at Fastlane, they have a draw because of all the interference, and they throw up the title as vacant after that, which probably kills a lot of the heat. But you could have so many different conversations about why each of the girls has a title match, other than just wins on Raw, because they never seem to want to mention previous wins as mattering, unless they actually remember, which is few and far between.
They will when it's convenient.
Exactly.
Yeah, this whole thing it gets messy. It's just that's my thing about it. I wish that they would get more focused on the people involved and not outside interference or outside. Because once again, we mentioned two people in this that really didn't need to be a part of it, Dana or Stephanie, really, unless Dana's going to be talked about. Unless you're going to add these people in for certain reasons for future things, I think that they need to be left out. I want to know more. It bugs me. I hope it gets better.
Missed opportunity for sure.
Yeah.
Well, missed opportunity all around there. We'll have to see how they do this going forward. I think the only thing I forgot to mention was during the whole Kevin Owens arc here is you did have a little interview with Brock Lesnar, Michael Cole interviewing Brock Lesnar, and basically Paul Heyman says, Kevin Owens is not the most dangerous champion of recent memory. That Owens is hitting his stride and could surprise Goldberg as the walking into Mania's champion. But, Goldberg has that same opportunity to walk in with Mania's champion, and then Lesnar can go conquer him and once again be the most dangerous champion, basically. But, kind of setting those seeds of letting you know, hey, it's possible that Goldberg could win the title at Fastlane, you guys.
Yeah, and you know what? I actually like the way they filmed this. I really did. Because you started with Michael Cole doing the interview, and it's short-lived because, Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar wanted to be short-lived. But you have, Brock Lesnar right in the face of the camera. So where all you basically see is his head, and in the background, kind of when he moves his head every once in a while, you see Paul Heyman. But it's just that whole thing. I mean, whatever size TV you have at home, I mean, if you got a 70-inch or you even have a 32-inch, you have this guy staring right in your face as this, monster of a man who is Brock Lesnar, staring you down as you hear the verbiage of Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman is going through everything that, he thinks and what his client thinks. His client doesn't agree with pretty much anything that he's bringing to the table, and everything he's bringing to the table is pumping up guys like Goldberg or Kevin Owens. And Brock Lesnar agrees with none of it except one thing, that he could win. And so I appreciate that. The whole formula of it did work. I just like that image of Brock Lesnar in your face throughout that entire thing. It's been done before in film, it's done before on TV, but I'm glad they brought it into this, because Brock Lesnar right now, he's not on your TV screen on Raw when it comes to in the ring. It's not a lot of promotional stuff, but when it comes to this thing, it works and it makes sense, and it keeps him relevant leading up to what we're going to be getting into down the line. So I actually kind of liked it.
I am okay with this promo, but this continues to feed off what we were just talking about WWE's over-reliance on people who either don't need to be around or are already at the point where they don't need to be involved with certain things. And would I like Kevin Owens to walk in to WrestleMania as the Universal Champion? Yes. Is it going to happen? Dear God, no.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think I just appreciate the fact that, Brock Lesnar is still relevant to an extent. But, I mean, you're right. I mean, if they would not have had him on this show, would it have mattered? No, not really.
So I want to leave you with Kenny Omega talking about the Braun and Big Show match. He says, seeing Giants chain wrestle reminds me of the days when I'd play in WWE World Tour for N64. It's strange, but kind of neat at the same time. That's kind of how I felt. It's strange, but kind of neat at the same time.
Yeah, it is true. Very true.
Kurt Angle was happy about that main event too, by the way. So, we'll have to see if he gets to wrestle the big man or something, maybe. But anyway, that'll do it for Raw on this evening. What are we doing for a rating here?
Watching this Raw, they kind of had, some momentum going for, everything leading into Fast Lane, and I think that that's good. It's solid for what, at least getting us to that point. But there was just so much on this that I just kind of was either blasé on, or I just really didn't care. And that's not a good thing. And I think what we got was a main event that did have some substance to it. They didn't start the show off very well, besides Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens did a good job for what he did. But after that, it was just kind of downhill. And it just kind of got murky. And there was just not a lot for me to get super, super invested in. So I'm going to go with, I think, a 6 here. I really want to give it a 5 in a way, but I think I'm just being mean. I'm going to give it a 6. I mean, they did have Skylar Aston in the backstage. I mean, so maybe I should give him an extra point for that. Who is that guy anyway? Pitch Perfect is what I'm hearing. I don't know what the heck he does. I know he sings or something.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
Also, the guy from Saved by the Bell was backstage too, so maybe I like him more.
Again for like the millionth
No,
time?
the Slater.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Okay.
The extra guy. So anyway, I'm going with 6 here.
Slater's the only one who still has a career, really.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm leaning towards what you were leaning towards, Gary. I'm thinking 5. There's not a ton of great wrestling. I think some of these segments really stand out as being good. I think the majority of it is either busy work or crap. And, so thinking 5.
I'll go in between and go 5.5. I'll give the extra 5 for the Kevin Owens stuff this week, and then yeah, you guys kind of said it all. There are not a lot of great action, but what there was, I mean, you had the good Bayley and Charlotte match, the good Big Show and Braun match, and some good segments there, but not a Raw like to totally be enthused about. So,
Yeah.
well, next week it'll be the go home for Fast Lane. So hopefully something better there.
Yeah, hopefully so. We're looking forward to that episode. And by the way, people, if you didn't watch Saved by the Bell, you don't know who Slater is, we're talking about Mario Lopez. That was the guy's name. I forgot it. So, but anyway, we are headed out of here. We appreciate everybody who came and check this Raw review out. Make sure you go check out all our other reviews. We're having SmackDown Live, 205 Live, and NXT, all his review shows this week. So trust me, you're going to want to hear all those, along with our episodes of Wrestling to the Max. We'll be doing part 1 of episode 235, actually tonight, and we'll be doing the next one on Thursday. That'll be part 2. Also, make sure you go find all those shows on either the W2M network or even just type in Wrestling to the Max. Or, hey, do us a favor. Go check out the place that has a lot of great content for you, W2Mnet.com. That's right. It not only has our podcast, but it also has written content for you guys for the written wrestling you love so much. So we appreciate everybody once again for joining us. We will see you guys down the road. Until then, if you're not living life to the max,
You're not living life at all.
You know it.
Please, everybody.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.